After this great talk, we now go over to the panel which we have, and yeah, just check out the topic. It should appear just now. Hi guys!
Hi there.
Hey,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay, so yeah, it's working. So yeah, welcome to the Career Day of the Games Week Berlin. And thank you very much that you're attending the panel today. And our topic is recruiting remote employees, digital spaces versus real world boundaries. So that's our topic, as you know. And to kick off the conversation and the topic, I would love to ask you to introduce yourself and maybe give us a short insight, but like really a short insight into the topic. And I would say ladies first. Franziska, please go.
Well, thank you. So my name is Franziska. I'm a co-founder and managing partner at Fein, and at Fein we develop games by women, for women. And what that means is that we develop games with a unique female perspective for a mostly female target audience. We are a relatively young studio, currently working on our first game, which is going to be a mobile hidden object game telling the story of three women and their quest to find happiness. Fein was founded in February 2020, so just a few weeks before Corona hit Germany. And basically ever since, I mean, that's been part of our everyday lives. And I say that because I think it definitely influenced how we work and how we recruit. We've been remote only from the start. I co-founded Fein together with my business partner, Lea Schönfelder, who at the time was based in London. She later moved to Frankfurt. But again, we were not in the same location. And yeah, so since then we've grown to a team of 6. We're still relatively small, which I guess impacts how we make decisions, also with regards to remote work. But yeah, I mean, that's basically us. Also, I guess in preparation for this talk, I did ask my team how they feel about it, just to not just represent my opinion, because I personally really like it. And I would definitely say there are mixed feelings about it.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to change anything about it anytime soon, also because of the ongoing pandemic. But there's not a clear decision on our long-term future yet. So that's us.
Nice, nice. So I see you came in very well prepared. That's very good. So yeah, thank you, Franziska. And now maybe Tsahi, who are you?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Tsahi Liberman. I'm based in Israel and working currently for Lightneer, which is a game studio developing hyper-casual games based in Helsinki. So for the last almost 8 months, I work with a studio which is remotely, kind of different culture. Everything is done, online. So that was interesting to examine. And before that, I actually was one of the first employees in a startup that started right when Corona started, and then moving on. And my job was to be, among other things, the talent acquisition guy. And I built over 50 distributed teams around the world in COVID and try to manage them. So, of course, clashes of different cultures and the challenges of actually making everyone feel like they're one, united union, respecting their culture, respecting their customs and mental health, but also sharing with them our weeklies and our special occasions. So that was like a huge challenge, and I would love to, to speak about it. I've been in the industry for over 70 years. So yes, 17, not 70. I'm not that old.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hear about the experience And glad to have you here. Thanks. And now,
Same.
Mengü, who are you? What is
Hi there.
yeah, what's your connection?
Hi there. First of all, yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. So my name is Mengühan, short Mengü. You can find me under my gaming tag as Kebab Man on Twitch, amongst
Nice.
others. And I'm co-founder of Taledo. We're located here in Berlin, at the heart of Berlin. So around 70 people launched Taledo in 2017. And what we're doing is an all-in-one recruitment solution, which basically covers the entire recruitment value chain in a company on one product. And it's two-sided. So we have a platform which is for companies and for candidates. And finally, we started this much ahead of Corona, and we see a big tailwind now. And the reason for this is that we see a broader change in recruitment. So what we saw is that recruitment always has been a very reactive process over the last 30 to 50 years. So companies look for a candidate, they post a job, receive applications, and when that's not enough, they go headhunting. And the way it has been going over the last years is not really nice. So anyone who has developers knows how many spam emails they receive. So sometimes up to 100 per day. Yeah. And this is why we believe that recruitment, especially digital and remote recruitment, will be a much more active process. So keeping long-term engagement with a candidate, building relationships, and that's what we're basically building with our platform.
Nice. That's very interesting. So when did you start to build the platform? Like, because is it something what you already started to do like before Corona, and it just fit well, or like how did that happen?
Yes, way before Corona. So we actually launched Taledo in 2017, and it developed out of the pain what we saw when we were recruiting for our own companies before that. So I was working for another startup, and it was extremely frustrating how it was working, you know. So basically, job ads is post and pray, and you have to know how much you pay for a white collar candidate especially in Germany, in Europe. So you pay up to 25% on commission rates for headhunters. And so that's why we asked ourselves, why is there not something else which is much faster, much more cost efficient, and just digital? Yeah. And this is how we basically started with a sourcing application, which then later on developed into an all-in-one solution. Because the biggest pain for candidates is always that the process itself is not very smooth, and they don't have any transparency. You know, right? You apply, you don't receive feedback, and then the impression of the company is gone. And this is basically what we want to solve.
Okay. Maybe to tie into that, Franziska, how is your process? How does it look like right now? Like the remote recruiting process?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's still very, I don't want to use, it's still in its infancy, I would say. And
but it works, obviously.
It does work. So yeah, we're a team of 6, and we found those people in different ways, I would say. It was just mentioned the term long-term relationships, and I think that's something we tap into. So most of us have been in the company, or in the industry, for about 10 years. So we have pretty big networks that we can tap into. But if I look at who's working with us now, it's former colleagues, it's friends, our artist we found by headhunting her ourselves, and then also one person, I know her from going out. So it's quite diverse. And I guess our process is rather simple. We put up an ad on our social media. We track the candidates in an Excel sheet. We sort them. Yeah. And then so far what we've done, we've always invited 3 to, like, we check on the skills, we invite 3 for a short conversation. And then we decided to hire most of them for a freelance assignment. We do need to test, is it a fit in terms of culture, skills, and everything. And I think the best way to do that is through testing, but I think the regular, in the past you would get a test that you do over the course of a week, and that's it. And I'm not sure if that's enough if you, especially if you hire people that you're not going to see face to face until after you have hired them. So that's been our hack. It's worked out fine so far. Yeah.
Okay. And Tsahi, maybe like what do you think of the process? Because I think Franziska, you already said, okay, they need to fit into the culture, and it takes a while to test that if they really fit. What is your experience with that?
So let me shed some light on the process that I've been through on the previous company before Lightneer. So my was to hire and build around 50 or more distributed team, which means that every part of that team is probably located geographically on another spot on the globe, which was very challenging. So you don't only have that you never work with, you have to create that team dynamic between those professionals and actually lead them to develop a game and a successful game and feel like they knew each other for more than 1 second. So first of all, I think the attitude is always is that I'm hiring a person, because a person can be a professional and it can be a top artist or top developers, but it is really hard to work with when he is in specific teams. And further on, if it's remotely, we need the responsibility for that person to take upon himself. So first of all, hiring a person. Secondly,
how do you do that? Because like, what does it mean? Like, how do you test remotely? That's my person. Sorry for interrupting, but like, how do you do that?
That's the next bit. So a little bit, backwards. Where do I find those people first? So since I'm not an original talent acquisition guy, I'm actually a developer, and currently I lead the game design and data in the company. I'm also a gamer for many years. So what I did is go into all of the gaming communities, Discord, Unity, you name it. And I actually fished those, gamers, game developers, game artists, which has a name in the industry, that showed visual examples of what they do. Started to speak. I added them to my Discord. I started a conversation. It's not like I'm hiring you. I'm not a corporate talent acquisition guy. I'm just a gamer speaking with a gamer, trying to understand your passions, where you see yourself in several years. What do you like? What's your vision? How do you work? Did you work with other people in other teams? Was that game successful? If not, what did you want it to improve? So unofficially, that was like the first interview. Secondly, of course, there's a filtering. But then in that conversation, I managed to understand there's a chemistry where you find yourself speaking 10 minutes, first 10 minutes, first 20 minutes with a person, and you feel that this person is someone that you want to work with. Of course, it's not an absolute, and you need to test that further on. And we gave assignment, not just professionally, but also personality-wise. We, after passing the professional, they will speak to the other team members, and we dynamic task online that you need to solve. So it was something that helped us filter part of those people which are only there for the salary, or just to make work for a company with a name on it, and actually find those people which are passionate about what we do.
Oh, so, good. Or is Franziska back too? I think we're back online. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I'm here.
Live again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Franziska still seems to be frozen, but maybe we still can continue. We just talked about like how to find and how to source the right employees. But what happens if you already, okay, so you source them, you employed them, what do you then? Like, how do you keep your employees? Because like right now, if everyone has access basically to the employees, like you have like an international competition going on. How do you keep them? Like maybe, Mengü, maybe you start.
Yes. Yes. It all basically retention is not only like after the hire, it's also pre-hire. So if you leave a good impression on during the recruitment process, that it starts with that. And we have a big emphasis on the onboarding stage. Obviously, it's a bit more difficult during remote onboarding. So what we try to do is to make kind of like a hybrid system where we have pre-recorded content as well as live content. And then, for instance, for me personally, it's very important to have for every new joiner, because we're already a little bit bigger than just a very early stage startup, so that we have virtual coffees with the new joiners, with the founders. So at least me or my co-founder, so that we again can explain a little bit the vision and especially why we're doing it. So you probably know the saying, start with why. That's always very helpful to align like the values of the company. And besides that, we work with several frameworks. So we found that OKRs are very helpful. So we use quarterly OKRs, so objective key results. It's a very nice framework. Basically, you build an objective for the whole company and align the sub-teams based on this company with KPIs. And there are really cool tools nowadays where basically every update on OKRs can be fed live into Slack channels. Right, and that's extremely helpful for aligning the team and keeping them up to date. And there are very small like twerks you can always do to kind of celebrate little things. So, for instance, we have several automations where when a new deal is closed in the company, it goes to a celebration channel on Slack, and then we call it the Giphy War Start, where everyone is spamming their Giphies and just celebrating the success. And these are like little things, but they're much more important during remote work and basically keeping the culture.
Okay, nice. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on like the onboarding process? Because you said it's really important to leave a good impression. And like, of course I know what you mean, but can you maybe give us a little, like some examples of that?
Yes. First of all, it's crucial that you have a system for that. Funnily, Franziska, you mentioned, you mentioned you are using Excel. This is what we see very often for recruitment. Actually, like we provide our ATS for free, just to keep in mind. So you can use it completely out of charge. But there are also so-called HRM systems, and they usually have so-called like this onboarding tasks that really people know what to do at each stage. But what helped really a lot during the onboarding to let the team give the trainings. So previously, like before we had this, usually like the team leads tried to give the trainings and do training on the job. But then we started to ask team members who every day, let's say, work with HubSpot to develop their own HubSpot training and onboard the new joiners. And that really increases the commitment, the engagement of the team towards training their colleagues, because in the end, everyone benefits out of that. So that was really, really helpful.
Okay, nice.
Interesting.
Cool, thanks. And Franziska, how do you keep your employees in your company after you hired them? Like, how do you find them to you?
I think, again, because we're very small, we're very value and mission driven. I feel, my impression is that there are a lot of bigger games companies out there and a lot of talent that has been working there for a while, and they're looking for something different right now. They're looking for a smaller company. They're looking for, stronger values that they can identify with. So that's definitely something that we benefit from. There are obviously certain perks that bigger companies have that we don't have, but so far I feel like that makes us quite attractive as an employer. Also, if I look at who applies to our jobs, it's a lot of women or female identifying people that just that can identify with our vision and what we want to achieve as a company and with our games. And I think that keeps people. But besides that, yeah, I think we're just trying to, or someone recently told me that it seems like we hire for kindness. And I guess like maybe that and I found that a really nice compliment because yeah, definitely. We're small enough where everyone can shape the team culture. Everyone has a really big impact. Like we rely on every employee that we have. And I think, yeah, that's how we are able to keep our employees or retain them.
How do you communicate that? Because like it sounds awesome. Like I would love to adapt that. You know, I'm also a small like company. But how do you communicate that? Because like if I don't know you, how do I know your values and everything what you said? Like how did you do that?
I think it starts with your job ad. What do you put in there? Do you go for very typical game culture sentences? Are you looking for rock stars? And that does work for certain companies, but it's not what we are trying to build. So I think you can do a lot with like the skill, like what you're looking for. Besides the hard skills, there's also all the soft skills, and then it's really down to living it every day. I think your employees see how you interact with each other, how much respect you have towards your co-founder or other employees. And you have to fundamentally believe in kindness and being nice to each other. And then it comes quite natural. And you just have to be very careful that the people you hire are also follow down that path. And I think, I don't know, I'd like to say that at Fein, we're all kind of fans of each other. Like everyone is very skilled in their own way. Soft skills, hard skills, and everyone is working so hard. And I think something that is very important working remote is voicing that. If someone achieves something, celebrate it. And even if it's just like Slack, heart emoji, something, react. And I think no one is watching you, and if you smile in front of your laptop, no one's gonna see it. So just write it down. And I think it's the small details, the small messages that everyone has to be reminded that we have to share them.
Oh, that sounds really nice. I would love to see your job ad now and see how it looks like. Maybe Tsahi, how do you keep your people motivated?
So first of all, they are not my people. We are a team. So there's no ownership in that. We are working towards one goal, one aim together. Secondly, I think when speaking on Lightneer, the studio I work with now, is something that we portray, and you ask, how do you portray that, your culture and your values? So it's in a website. We have 3 main values, which is like honesty, respect, and playfulness. And we have the detailed, description of each one and what we portray, not just a buzzword. We actually have a Slack channel for kudos. So whenever like a member is doing something great, we pat on his back or her back, and it's a moment to celebrate. Secondly, I think it's all about other than the culture, which we'll speak in a second, it's also about the competence development of that employee. And we have every several weeks we have a competence day where we have like a huge Excel, and every member can write down the topics that he would like to study. And there are developers that are interested in doing 3D art, and there are 3D artists that are interested to know more about data. And we supply that ground, that framework, and we market that to our new members, that you can do that. You can join that initiative. And we care not about, of course, your own professional competence, but your desires, your passions, in order to make you a better professional, better person. And this answers some of their interest in the company. Secondly, Yes, for example, every financials that we have in the company, every projection that we have are distributed in the weeklies. So taking a little bit out of Supercell's playbook, it's all about transparency. It's
Okay.
all about not creating great individuals, but creating and building great teams. So that's what we are trying to do. And yes, I mean it's all about giving an honest feedback, not hurting anyone's feelings, but actually be direct in a very delicate way, in a very gentle way, the Finnish way. And
The
I
Finnish
think
way.
it helps. I think it helps. I think it helps. Create a workload which is reasonable. On top of that, that our teams they have their autonomy to actually how to develop the game and to manage their timelines. So this is something that they have the responsibility. All the management and all the personnel around those teams is served only to make them succeed. So we are not telling them, hey, that's what you are going to do, but we are scaffolding them to the process of actually making their passion game, making it successful, and celebrating with them the success. And
Nice.
and if I just one word about culture, so of course it's very important to first create a simulated office environment for those remote workers. So we have virtual coffee, and we have them in the weeklies and in the monthlies, and we celebrate different occasions with them, and even their holidays with them online, to show them that we respect their culture and where they come from. So it's also important for us to understand where are they located and what's their happy moments.
Oh,
That's it.
nice.
That's my love.
Yeah, but that's great. So like you really try to know like a lot about your employees, and you try to keep account of that, and like to respect that. That's nice. Like with kindness or like with specific systems. That's really nice. How did you came up with this? Because like Franziska, you just like started your business, and you it just basically you do something personal. That's your personal way of how you design the recruiting process. And Tsahi, for you, like how did you develop the system? Like, was it also something like personal, or how long have you been doing this?
Oh, wow, that's a very philosophical question, because
Sorry.
as we
Yeah.
go back 35 years ago. No, I'm just
Oh.
kidding. As a developer, a large part of my life was dedicated to social change. And I cared about what people feel, how you can motivate them, how you can empower them, how you can go to far richest places in the world and empower those people and actually give them the opportunity to work for something they dream of. So whether
Oh,
it's in
that
like in
sounds
India, in
nice.
Africa, in other places in the world, that was something that I love to do in different organization, whether it's volunteering or actually working for a company. So I think that moved on with me to other companies when I was part of the leadership, or being in the management. That was something that for me I always strive to have a non-hierarchical organization, like a flat management, and also try to recruit, as I mentioned, people, because that's what I look for first. We had so many, even in companies that I work with. I've worked with professionals which were top in their field, but they were horrific to work with. So I think there need to be a balance, of course. But what takes those employees further on is their virtues to carry on, care about the product and the company, connect very well to the team, and create that dynamic, which is very rare. And if that dynamics works well, you got a very good team to nurture on and on. And you could see that on a game that you develop or on a product. So I think this is something internal for me, and it's a way of management for how I see companies strive.
Nice. What do you like? For me, it sounds that because of the new situation, you have to like you created just like new ways of employ people and like how to handle like the remote work. But it was there already before. It's not that like Corona hit and then everyone started working remote, you know. But right now it's like more and more there. And my question would be like, maybe to Mengü, do you think it's a chance for the future for like companies to explore this field even more, or would you say like it will be really hard for the companies in the future?
I mean, it's not a chance; it's a necessity, right? If you want to win the war for talent, and you have to know something.
Yeah,
it is how it is, right? And in Europe, in the Western world, you have a very dominant career-driven market. This means that basically employers apply to top candidates, right? As Tsahi mentioned, he goes to Discord and writes to people. And these people, especially next generation, are more and more digital. They want to have a good experience. And money or prestige is not the number one priority for them right now. It's a good work-life balance, it's a good culture, and a good experience. You know, like imagine working is 80% of your waking time. Why should it be a bad experience, right? This is kind of like the old thinking, and the whole market, the whole vision of this changes, the whole vision of work in general. But what we see is that companies are still lagging behind, you know? So we see, I'm not talking, let's forget about digital, right? Let's forget about Berlin. 80% of German economy is automobile related or engineering related. And I see companies there who have hundreds of people where the assistant hires people on the side somehow by posting jobs. And this is catastrophic if you really see that people are the major component. Talent is the major component of the success of a company. So I believe it has to change. And there are certain trends which is also really fostered by this remote recruitment. The biggest trend I see is definitely that recruitment will become a data-driven thing in the future. Right now, it's very much driven by gut feelings and also like personal experience, etc. And by moving a lot of the process steps to digital solutions, so for instance, video interviews, it will be much more data-driven so that it does not depend anymore of the gut feeling from a certain HR manager or a certain hiring manager, but it becomes much more objective and fair in the end.
That's interesting. It's kind of contrary to what like Franziska, what you do right now, right? Or like, because like you do it out of your gut feeling. So it would be interesting for me to know, how do you see your future? Like, will you like continue to employ people remotely, and or would you love to switch back, or how will you handle that in the future?
Is it towards me? Or?
No, not to Franziska, sorry.
I was wondering as well. I'm not sure. I do think we will move to a hybrid model at some point. And the main reason for that is that what Tsahi said in the beginning, it does not work for everyone. And you see a lot of people struggling with mental health. They're feeling lonely, they're depressed. And if we put talent in the center, that we really have to take that serious, because I mean, it's a problem. I don't know yet how much of that is related to the pandemic, how much is related to home office, because obviously a lot of people have, work is their main social circle. So I'm very curious to see how that develops in, let's say, a year, when hopefully everything is somewhat back to normal. I also don't think we have found the perfect tools or the perfect ways to do everything yet. Like one thing that just came to my mind is like we're still sticking to, or I mean, not at Fein, but most companies are sticking to an 8-hour workday, and sitting in front of your laptop in your home office for 8 hours. That's not, that doesn't work. And we also know that in an office, well, we spend about 2 hours having coffee and lunch. So how can we compensate for that? That we shorten work days. And And I think a lot of companies are like, they're using remote recruiting, they're using remote work, but they're still restricting their employees and enforcing old ways of doing things. So I think there's a much bigger change, and I don't know, like new work, maybe that's the solution. So coming back to your question, I do think we will get an office space at some point that will be a hybrid where people can come in, they can socialize, but I think we will also keep the option to have remote work, also because not everyone is in Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks. And Tsahi, how do you see your future? Because like what really struck me when you said you recruit internationally and like you have all the different cultures, and I could basically see how the whole world is coming together in one company. So like, but how do you imagine the future of like employment?
When you say that, it sounds like I'm Gandhi, but yeah, it's a compliment. I just wanted to note one thing, and maybe it's the future, and maybe it's a future that we need to be careful with, because I keep hearing, due to the whole tech world buzzwords, I keep hearing different platforms which are using either VR or are very data driven and analyze the candidates, or using different AIs in order to interact with an actual character, a virtual character, and then measured by. We need to be very careful not to forget the human factor, and this is something that is highly important in that process. We are not hiring robots. We are not hiring people that needs to be programmed or work or behave in a specific way that can be analyzed to those parameters. Of course, everything can be analyzed, and we can understand which are the best candidates for us. But in terms of humanity and actually, who is that person behind that professional, that is something that we need to work more and more on. And the systems has to be more complex in specific simulations that are created. And of course, you can measure or implement or trigger empathy in computer games, different surroundings, and there are companies that are working on that. It's not perfect, it's far from being perfect, but that can also be measured. How do you behave in a specific empathic situation? And I can know how you behave in the parallel of working in an office or working with your teammates remotely. So I think the future is bright in terms of technology. I think we have to be careful. As had been said here, it's always a headhunt. I think it's important to actually approach those candidates as much as you can as a person, instead of a cold email or other platforms that are sending mass spam messages, because I get them all the time. I'm going to slash to Finland next week, and I already got like 40 emails like that in a week.
You're hunted.
Yeah. Okay. So it's for me to hire, not for me to get employed. But yeah, I think the future is highly interesting, and it's always important that in that cycle of hiring, there would be a person, which I wouldn't see a system which is fully automated, uncontrolled by human eye, just selecting the best candidate. That would be a disaster. That could actually be happening soon. So
it's actually very interesting that you say that, because we also, sorry to interrupt, because that's basically our vision, because we also don't believe in that. We believe recruitment is a people business still, same as sales, right? No one wants to buy or hire from a bot, right? And this is basically what we build, what you're saying, right? Always combining recruitment excellence. But what I believe is in that you can automate a lot of the repetitive tasks that humans are involved in the process steps that matter, convincing the candidate, like the objective handling, like all those emotional tasks that are in the process.
Right, and another something I may say here, following your words now. I mean, speaking to candidates over several years, some candidates always ask me, so now you're going to ask me those 5 questions or those 10 questions. And there's always like a notion in a candidate eyes. When a recruiter approach them, they will ask, name one negative attribute and one positive
Yeah.
attribute. Or where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or, and that's always cliches of the HR world, and this is something that is still in the minds of candidates when they are approached by someone. So we should drive away from that show that candidates already know what to say and what to answer to those kind of questions, and be more empathic, humane, and actually try to understand and care for understanding who is that person that we are hiring, and not just professionally, because professionally we can test them. We look on their portfolio, we send them a test, we go over the results with them so that we can evaluate that. What's the missing part is the human part.
Oh,
That, yeah, it's not very tree hugger today. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Kindness and humanity and tree hugging, very, very good topics. But maybe because we are running out of time, some closing comments. Maybe starting with Franziska. What would you love to say to the audience? Because like we are still at the career day, so many of like our viewers are people who are seeking jobs within the games industry. What would you love to say to them?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm unprepared for that one.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I think it's also because it was mentioned before that we're at a time where companies headhunt, where companies are searching for talent, and it's so important to just find an employer that works both ways, to find your perfect match, and to also really check is that a work environment that I can see myself in for the next couple of years. That's maybe my one piece of advice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then Mengü.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's advice towards candidates, I would say the biggest leverage that had on my personal career was mentorship. So what I would really give as a tip to anyone starting their career, also advancing, envision where you want to be. This is coming back to Tsahi's question, where do I want to be? But it's a very crucial question. You have to know which direction you go. It might go to a different direction, but at least go towards one direction, and really envision where you want to be, and find people that have gone through this path, right? So, for instance, you want to become a CEO, CMO in the long term, find people who have gone through all the steps and talk to them. And it's actually very easy nowadays. So I see a lot of people like being too shy to approach people. But what I did back in the time, I wrote to hundreds of people over. Back then it was StudiVZ, right? Now it's LinkedIn and Co. and meet them up, offer them a coffee. And this is basically the biggest hack for any career, in my opinion.
Nice. Thank you. And Tsahi, what would be your tip to our viewers?
Peace and love. No, kidding again.
So nice. I love this panel today. Yeah, peace and love.
First of all, as a candidate, be minded of the culture and values of the company that you are applying to. Inquire about it. Don't take it for granted that everybody is a corporate or everybody is a friendly indie. Just ask and be understandable about it. Secondly, be open to evolve. In the company, you may find role models, sometimes not in your own turf of development, and ask in the company if this is something that I can evolve into different directions after a while, after I prove myself. But and there were many cases of really good developers that wanted to turn into artists or other types of roles, and they did that switch very fluently, and the company supported them. So of course it's not easy to do, but it's something that happened. And also, like one bit about the recruiters. So don't forget that the recruiter is also a person that is also looking for people and professionals, and it's not a person that is like it's hobby to hunt you down or let you down. It's just a person that actually wants to find the best in you for the company, the best match. And so that is also something important to mention for candidates. It's not just like we use that promoter or that recruiter and throw it out. It's a relationship, like everything in this business.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Thank you very much to all of you. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Some fun.
Yeah. Peace, love, and tree hugging, and yeah, it's about the personal connections. And yeah, thank you very much. I learned a lot. I hope you learned also something. And see you soon. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thanks as well.
bye bye.
Have fun. Bye bye.